right, I don't have a lot of time, so we really gotta jump into it. If you would just pull up my presentation, please, I'll control the slides. Great, I'm Paul Brutal, I'm a neo-nutritionist. We don't have too much time to explain what that is, but basically it's like a nutritionist of the future. Okay, so I'm just gonna find some space here on the stage if you would pull up my, perfect, great. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm a neo-nutritionist. I was hired on the first Bush campaign to be part of the Department of Health and Human Services. I was a staffer in the department. My job was primarily a marketing position, but I worked with the scientists in there to develop a lot of what was going on. We're just going to go ahead and we got to skip around here. Let me see. My clicker doesn't seem to be clicking. There we go. So yeah, I spent a lot of time with Mr. Bush on the campaign trail. You can see here's a picture of me with the president. There I am. Just sort of, obviously, the guy's a popular man, so I couldn't get quite into the inner circle, but we were working together. Just to give you an idea of what I was working on, our program was primarily focused on coming up with a way to make cigarettes healthy. So we all know that cigarettes are bad for you. Thank you, yes. Yeah, we were doing a lot of great work. Unfortunately, just to give you an idea, here's some of the copy that I was working on at the program. We were really trying to turn it around. The big tobacco money was just flooding in at the time, so we were getting a lot of that. But eventually, around 1998, I believe, we were given a new project. Oh, Sparky, yeah, cigarettes. I would say the jury's still out on them. I smoke them personally, and freaking look at me. But I would say, you know, people are shit talking them, and so we can.
Reason if you think cigarettes are good for you, that makes them good for you.
And then as a doctor, I would say that they're definitely bad for you, but they look cool. So
okay, all right. So like I said, jury's still out on cigarettes. But around 1998. I got into a project that we all are probably familiar with. Yes, the food pyramid. So you guys are all probably familiar with the food pyramid. You probably learned about the food pyramid in school. So that was a project that I actually had a lot to do with. I was part of the team that developed the food pyramid. But to be honest, most of the material was already provided to us. You know, the shape, the foods, the order of the foods. That was all given to us by the higher-ups. So I started doing some snooping to try to figure out, you know, where is this information coming from, right? Where are we getting the food pyramid? You know, so I started taking a look deeper, and surprise, surprise, things weren't quite as squeaky clean as we might have thought. Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm going there, folks. So
okay, let's get into
if we keep our eye on things, we might be able to find some shady business dealings that were just beneath the surface. So anyway, let's get back to it, the food pyramid. We all know and love the food pyramid. Some quick things about the food pyramid, things that a lot of people already know. Let's talk about dairy. Let's talk about big dairy. All right, big dairy, obviously we all know big dairy has completely flooded the mainstream media, right? We've got big-time celebrities endorsing milk. Bill Ray, the Doc, Docky Phil, even the quiz man himself. Wow. Yeah, Alex Trebek. So our kids are growing up idolizing these people, wondering, what do I have to do to be like Quizman Alex Trebek, drink lots of milk, right? So that's just one layer of the food pyramid, the lies that they're telling you. But let's focus on the big picture right now, the biggest picture, bread. All right, we all know bread, right? Or do we? Do we know bread? What is bread, really? I'm not sure. Are you? Let's think about it for a second, because what were we taught? Bread is wheat, right? Okay, well, let's look at wheat. Take a look at that photo. Take a look at the picture of bread and tell me how that comes to be. I'm not sure.
It's ground down. It's baked over a period of time.
Have you ever made bread?
I've never seen it.
No. Most of us haven't.
Yeah, I can't attest to that.
Most of us haven't made bread. You know who's making the bread? Bakers. That's right, bakers. Oh, bakers. Oh, my friendly neighborhood baker, right? Yes. Wrong. What do we know about bakers? Let's ask ourselves, what do we really know about bakers? Well, let's think. They get up at fucking the crack of the dawn, right? 3:30 in the morning, middle of the night to go to work. Why? Why? I'll tell you why. Because they need to operate in the shadows before the sun comes up.
And at night, everything's shadows.
It's true. At night, we are our shadows.
Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. Anyone familiar with this? A normal dozen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? How many in a baker's dozen?
13.
13. That's right. We're catching on quickly now. Okay, so we all know about 13, right? 13, clearly it's the devil's number. We know this through a few different references. Obviously, Friday the 13th, very clearly, unlucky date on the calendar. All those kids got murdered by that guy in that movie. We've also got, buildings leaving the 13th floor out of their elevator system. Clearly unlucky number, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. All right, let me explain. OPEC. Who knows about OPEC, the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries? Are we familiar with OPEC? Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. G20, G7 summits. This is the shit that they're talking about. So let's count those nations up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just fast forward here. There's 13 member nations of OPEC. Huh. That's a little interesting, right? Let's scratch a little deeper at the surface here and see if we can't find something. Apple. We're all familiar with Apple, right? We've got Apple products in our pockets. We got an Apple product. Well, no, that's actually a PC, I guess. But we all use Apple products to the extent that 1.3 trillion dollar valuation recently on Apple. Oh, let's take a look at that number real close. What is that? 1.3. Oh, looks an awful lot like 13. And where is Apple located? Okay, well, here's a picture of their newly built headquarters, the Apple Space. Where's that located? Oh, Cupertino, California. Let's see. Let's check the address. Oh, would you look at that? 1313.
Is that factual?
North De Anza Boulevard, Cupertino, California. Look it up. If you don't believe me, look it up.
Please look that up, chat.
1313. So 13 starting to appear a little bit more frequently once we start to take a closer look, but it gets a little bit deeper. Let's move on. Anybody recognize this face? Huh? Do you recognize this guy? Huh? Yeah, that's right. That's Jeffy Bezos. How much is he worth? Oh, let's take a look. 4.8 billion US dollaroonies. Yes, that's right. And let's take a look at the first two numbers of that number. 1, 3. Right. Yes, 13. Jeff Bezos. But are you trying to doubt this? Well, let's take an even closer look. Let's take a look at his name, Jeffrey Bezos. How many letters in that name? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yes, 13. It's everywhere. All right. I don't think we need to go any deeper here. We can already understand that there's a lot of problems with the food pyramid. All right. It's shaped like a pyramid. That's a huge problem already. 13 appearing all over the fucking place. So let's ditch it. Right. Let's get rid of it. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do instead? Well, that's where I come in. As a neo-nutritionist, I have been developing a new system of nutrition, and with that new system of nutrition, we've got a brand new shape. I'd like to introduce the food Decagon. All right, so a Decagon is a 10-sided shape. We all should know this from geometry class. A Decagon is comprised of 10 different triangles, but 10 is an even number as opposed to the 3-sided devil shape that is the triangle. So we can just jump right into this. I'm going to rattle off some of the food groups on the Decagon, starting off Nerds Rope. This is a pretty clear one that was entirely ignored on the traditional food pyramid. You will not see Nerds Rope on a traditional food pyramid. You will see it here because rope foods are actually completely ignored by traditional nutrition standards. You probably can't even name 3 rope foods.
Spaghetti one?
Yeah, I would count spaghetti.
Okay.
So spaghetti, this category is spaghetti, Nerds Rope, other rope-shaped foods.
What about ropes themselves? They are edible.
Sure, yeah. We can talk about eating actual rope, like a hemp rope. I'll address that during the Q&A. But we should move on to the next category, and that's hot dog. Obviously, hot dog's in there. Hot dog is one of the most patriotic meats.
Singular? That's one hot dog?
Yeah, hot dog. Well, yeah, I wouldn't recommend eating more than one hot dog at a time, so I put hot dog singular on there. So hot dogs are really great food. Very patriotic. We eat it during the 4th of July for a reason. It's because it's filled with freedom and liberty. We got to move on. Let me see my freaking
They're not
clicker here.
represented on the food pyramid. I know that much.
Okay, assorted nuts. Now, this one trips up a lot of people because they're like, all right, assorted nuts, that could mean anything. There's many nuts in there. Which ones are the good ones? And that's the point. Who knows? You know, there's freaking a million nuts, right? So I say assort them, throw them all into a mix, throw some salt on that suckers. All right, have you ever been on a first-class flight? All right, I haven't, but sometimes I'll walk up there to take a piss in the fancy bathroom in the front of the plane, and they've got those warm nuts. Yeah, ask yourself why the CEOs of the Fortune 500 business companies are eating salty assorted nuts in first class, and maybe you'll answer some questions for yourself. We got to move on. All right, Frank's Red Hot. Frank's Red Hot, another controversial addition to the food decagon. People are always telling me, Paul, you can't put a condiment on a food shape. All right, a condiment is not a food. And to that I say, what is a food? You know, what is a condiment?
Excellent.
You know, to me, Frank's Red Hot goes on everything. So it would be ridiculous to leave it off of any kind of system for nutritional health, because it's a vital part. And it tastes freaking delicious. To put that shit on a bumper, it'll spice up any meal. And finally, beans. This one's pretty clear. We all know beans, a magical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot. The more you toot, you better you feel. So eat your beans for every meal. So that one's really clear. That rhyme, I actually wrote that as a little way to remember the importance of keeping beans. And again, this is just sort of broad, general beans, any kind of beans, jelly beans, Birdie Bop beans, baked beans, any kind of beans. Get those in there, and you're going to be real healthy. And so next on here, the rest is just supplements. So the rest of the decagon, that's really important, is supplements. Supplements is just kind of like pills and tablets and things like that. So I brought some. I carry this around wherever I go, this bag. It's just sort of got some things that I like to keep with me. Let's take a look at what we got in here. D3, that's a good one. I used to do D2, and then I freaking stepped it up a notch. And I've been chomping D3s. What else? Oh, this is my calendar. So each one of these colors represents a different week of the month. And I just kind of mix it up in there. There's not really any rhyme or reason to it. I just like the colors here. This kind of helps me, stay motivated to keep eating lots of supplements. What else is in here? Oh, this is good. This is actually marketed as cat food. It's marketed as something called Love Some Chicken Stew with Vegetable Pate.
Oh no, that's hard.
Yeah, you can buy this at like Ralph's, and they market it as cat food. But what they don't tell you actually is that it's a great source of niacin, which is hard to find in supplement form. But you can get it in Love Some Chicken Stew with Vegetable Pate. That's where I get my niacin. I'm spiking right now.
Does it taste good?
No, it tastes terrible.
Okay.
And so I like to keep this bag with me when I'm out on the street in case I need just a sup hit. But I also just kind of keep them loose in my pocket, just kind of like keep just like a stash. So I can just kind of pop them when I'm feeling down or feeling like, I need a little pick-me-up.
You're just taking those dry, aren't you?
Yeah, I just throw them down dry. I used to need water.
It seems like
Now I just kind of chew them.
yeah, you've moved to chewing.
It's a lot of powder.
So anyway, that's like mainly the. Oh, it got stuck in your teeth a little bit if you chew them. They're kind of chalky. So that's basically it. The decagon. If we want to run through it, just like real quick, pull it back up. I can run you through them real quick one more time, just so we're all clear on the decagon. So that's Nerds Rope, hot dog. Yeah. Bring it all the way back. Nerds Rope, hot dog, assorted nuts, Frank's Red Hot, beans, supplements. And if you combine, I'm still working on this pill. I'm just gonna spit it.
All right.
I'm just gonna spit it out and leave that there, and I'll finish that off. later on in the night.